Welcome again to our webinar together with our partners from MClimate in the person of the CEO Lubomir here with me. The topic of today is effective application of LoRaWAN technology in smart buildings. And yeah, I'm happy to have Lubomir with me to present on this topic. Just maybe for some organizational stuff, this webinar is being recorded, so we can also share the video and the slides afterwards with you. And furthermore, we do have the FAQ or Q&A section. You can find it in the upper part of the Teams window. Whenever you have any questions, just feel free to drop us a line there. We will try to answer it if possible within the webinar, or otherwise in the end of the webinar we will have definitely some minutes to discuss and answer your questions. Okay, what are you going to do today? First of all, of course, we have a small part about our two companies. After that, I will quickly go through LoRaWAN, the technology itself, for the people that maybe haven't heard too much about LoRaWAN so far. And after that, I will already hand over to Lubomir for the real stuff and some LoRaWAN use cases inside smart buildings and MClimate solutions. So let's go on. Who is MClimate Germany? We're actually a specialist and distributor for wireless technology for the industry that includes LoRaWAN, but not only. We're doing that for already 17 years now. We have quite a good experience in different wireless technologies and industrial use cases. And our company is based here in Germany, close to Frankfurt, right in the middle. We've been growing from 2 employees in the beginning in 2007 to roughly 25 today. And beside obviously distribution of components like MClimate sensors and stuff, we also have some experience in system integration and development of wireless technologies, integration of wireless technologies into different applications and products. What does that mean in total? We are using different wireless technologies, not only LoRaWAN, as I said, but also, for example, 4G, 5G mobile radio networks to connect any kind of application, being it some sensor, some machine, PLC, some vehicle, whatever, to a solution to digitalize a process, to make processes more smooth and easy. In the end, it's all about being more effective and bringing machine data or any kind of sensor data from one end to another, and to make use of the data, basically. That's it in a very short words. What does that mean in terms of LoRaWAN? We actually, as I said, being a distributor, we support you with the right devices, being the sensors, the gateways, modules, antennas, and all the accessories that is necessary to set up your LoRaWAN network. And on the other hand, of course, we help you to make use of the technology. So we just do not just drop some pieces of sensors or something, but we also help you to set up your network, to plan the network, which is even more important if it's about a bigger area, like a whole city or something that should be covered with a LoRa network. That also means the LoRaWAN network server. If you haven't heard of that yet, I will say a few words later on one of the next slides. What is the LoRaWAN network server? And all of that is what we can offer you to help you set up your LoRaWAN network and your solution in the end. So let's just quickly go through what is actually LoRaWAN. For those who haven't heard of it yet, LoRaWAN is part of the LPWAN technologies, which means which means low power wide area networks. That is a couple of different technologies, not only LoRaWAN. You might have heard of Sigfox as well, or of narrowband IoT, which is the technology in the mobile radio network. And these technologies are made for long range, as the name actually says, long range, long distances to cover. Yeah, you can see in that scenario here, compared to Wi-Fi, for example, that probably everybody knows, which is a very short range technology within like 50 to 100 meters in a building. LoRaWAN has a range of like 2 to 15 kilometers, which is actually the marketing speech you can say. So within a building, I think Liebman will also say a few words to that, but you can say within a building you can cover a couple of floors and you can cover some 100 meters depending on the actual type of the building. If you have just big concrete walls and a lot of steel, it's still physics. So, but compared to Wi-Fi, where you need some kind of repeater like every 50 meters, with LoRaWAN, it's way easier to set up a network. On the other hand, and that is shown in the left part, the data rate is of course much lower than for Wi-Fi. So LoRaWAN is not a technology to stream like videos or something. It's made for sensor data. So it's about transmitting temperature or some values, some sensor data. And that's one of the differences. So something we will go on in the next slide. First of all, we also have to differentiate between LoRa and LoRaWAN. Well, most of the time it's the words are used for the same, but actually there's a difference. LoRa itself is the physics, it's the wireless technology, while LoRaWAN is the protocol that is used on top of the LoRa technology. And first of all, the physics, the wireless technology, is that is based on in Europe on the 868 megahertz band. In some other part of the world, there's differences. Like in the US, it's 915 megahertz is used for LoRaWAN. So that's something you need to know if you're in international business. It's not a problem. There's lots of devices that cover the different frequencies in the world, but you just need to know if you're working in worldwide applications. The technology itself, as the frequency is quite a low one compared to like 2.4 gigahertz for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, for example. That is already one of the let's say which helps LoRaWAN having a bigger range. So the lower the frequency, the bigger the range is that you can cover. And also we have a good penetration within buildings. So it's also a very good solution to go into the basement of buildings if it's about reading out meters, for example. One more thing that is quite important for LoRaWAN is that it has a very low power consumption, because most of the devices used in LoRaWAN are actually battery driven. And we'll also hear from Liebman later on. Most of the battery driven devices can reach several years, 5 to 10 years of battery lifetime, which is very important for the use case in the end, because nobody wants to change batteries of sensors every couple of years. And that is quite an important part of the technology. Well, in comparison to LoRa, the LoRaWAN protocol that is on top is let's say it's the industry standard that is driven by the LoRa Alliance, which is the community of all the companies using LoRaWAN, producing LoRaWAN devices, offering services. And it's a kind of open industry standard. You can compare with, for example, with the Bluetooth SIG. So it is an open protocol. Basically, everybody can use. It's not maybe that's also important to know for the future proof of the technology. It is not just let's say it is always improved. So it's a standard that is continuously worked on, and there's every year there is new updates to the technology to improve it and make it even more or even better for future applications. Like, for example, right now you can see below here talking about the spreading factors SF7 to SF12. Right now there's the in one of the next standards there will be a spreading factor of 5 and 6, which will offer a higher data rate for the technology. So just for you to know that it's not as it is, it's always maintained and further improved the technology. In terms of figures, the data rates that LoRaWAN can reach is between 250 bits to 50 kilobits, which is actually controlled by the spreading factors that I just mentioned. That is something that the network is organizing for itself. So usually you don't have to take care for that. You don't need to set the spreading factor in your device. That is done centrally by the network server usually. It's just important to know that the spreading factors, they not only control the possible data rate, but it's also an important factor for the battery lifetime. Because the higher the spreading factor, the longer it takes to transmit the data, because you have a smaller data rate, and the longer the sensor has to be online, and the shorter the battery lifetime is in the end. So that can be avoided by a good network layout with some gateways in range, so that the sensors don't have to work in a bad spreading factor in the end. Actually, this is something we could talk longer on that topic, but just to mention it, that is something you have to take care for when you set up your LoRa network. Well, LoRaWAN is not, we are most of the time we're talking about sensors, but it's also it's a bidirectional connection. It's uplink oriented. That means the sensors usually are in a sleep mode if they are not sending data, and they just receive data when they send something, and then they are awake to wait if there's some response from the network server. So that they can be asleep most of the time due to the battery lifetime. But it's a bidirectional connection. So you can also have not only sensors, but also actors. Or, for example, as we will see later on with the Wiki thermostat, it will send data, but you can also configure it from the centralized platform and send it some external values, for example. And which is for us, I would say, most important in that technology. Private networks are possible. We are usually, most of the time, at least here in Germany, we are talking about private networks with LoRaWAN, which means you are not depending on some network provider like Telekom, Vodafone, whoever. You can just easily set up your own network with LoRaWAN. And we will see on the next slide. It's really basically you just need a gateway, and that's it. So this is one of the most important facts. You don't have anybody else within if you don't want to. There are network operators if you don't want to maintain it by yourself. That's also possible. But let's say most applications we see are based on private networks. The typical architecture looks like that. So we have different kind of sensors and actors here on the left side, and we have at least one gateway, but it can be up to almost no limit. Basically, you can connect as many gateways as you wish to one network. And the biggest difference maybe from other technologies that you might know, like Wi-Fi or whatever, is the so-called LoRaWAN network server, which is the next part, the cloud here in the middle. So the gateways in the typical LoRaWAN architecture are just a kind of quite stupid packet forwarder. So basically, they connect the data, collect the data by LoRaWAN, and push it forward to the network server. And the network server is like the heart of the system. He knows all the devices. He is doing the whole device management, and he is organizing the data. And from there, it goes to third-party application server, for example, for energy management or building control, building management, whatever. What can be some ERP system or any kind of application, basically, that is making use of the data. There's there's another way of doing that, basically, that is also quite often used, especially in smaller applications, like within a building sometimes, that some of the gateways also feature a network server on the device itself. So then we have this whole part of the network server included in one gateway, and you don't need any external server that is being installed or that is being used in the cloud or something. So everything is on the gateway, and you can just connect from the gateway to any kind of application server, or in a building to an existing system like some BACnet or server or whatever. So that is a quite nice solution for smaller networks. Well, actually, sorry, one too far. Part of this, what I already said, is why LoRaWAN is a perfect fit for smart buildings. It's exactly that. You can easily connect additional sensors and actors into an existing building without putting wires and drilling holes through walls and whatever. You can just set up your LoRaWAN network, which can be just a gateway, including LoRaWAN network server, couple of sensors connected to your existing system, and you're done. That's all you have to do. And there's the big advantage of LoRaWAN today is there's a huge ecosystem. There's solutions for so many different applications. We will see some more in a minute from Lubomir, and but there's being it energy, building management, whatever. You can read out any kind of meter data. You have different sensors for air quality, for climate control, you have weather stations for outdoor parking sensors. So the applications are almost endless, and it can be just easily integrated. And that's all from my side already, and I hand over to Lubomir for his part.
Maybe. Thank you. Can you keep the last slide open? I just want to add a few things if it's not a problem. One of the interesting use cases, I mean, just to illustrate how many use cases there are, is there is a mousetrap, a LoRaWAN-connected mousetrap, which if it catches a mouse, and you can go deal with this. So really the applications are endless. For us as a company, it really unlocked a lot of doors. LoRaWAN, is especially featured with the long battery life if you're developing the devices the right way, because it's kind of a mixture of vendors, hardware, LoRaWAN network servers, etc. It's done in a modular way so that you can kind of create your own stack of things, but then I would say, just being in this industry for many years, I see how, some companies might be doing a better job, for example, with the battery life. Not all things are equal. But yeah, typically, with typical batteries, depending on the application, of course, but even for actuators, things that actually use energy to control another thing, 10 years of battery life, if it's a good company, good hardware developer behind, 10 years is not a problem. This is also, of course, dependent on the network infrastructure. Marius, I'm very happy with what you said about the spreading factors and the data rate. It's absolutely true. So you cannot really do a video feed over LoRaWAN. There's not enough bandwidth there. But you can do pretty sophisticated stuff, I would say. You can send a lot of data. To give an example, like the Wiki, the radiator thermostat, which is illustrated here, application-wise, we have limited the minimum keep alive interval. Keep alive is like the timing between messages. So the minimum that we have set is 1 minute, but actually on SF7 it can transmit every 6 seconds a piece of data. So it's still complying with the duty cycle. Just for those who don't know what duty cycle is basically the device is allowed to speak 1% at a time. So if it takes 1 second to transmit a message, it means that it must remain silent for the next 99 seconds. And then this, depending on the spreading factor changes, with, let's say SF12, you can transmit a message every 2.5 minutes. I'm talking about Wiki because this also relates with the length of the message. But it's interesting how many use cases LoRaWAN actually unlocked. I must say that in the beginning of our company, we were more focused on Wi-Fi. It was more about smart home, but LoRa was not existent back then. And we already had some corporations, telecoms, etc., coming to us and saying, guys, we like the use case, we like the device, we like the solution. But if it's 1 or 3 months of battery life with Wi-Fi, that's not possible. We cannot really roll it out. And then once LoRaWAN became a reality, you have utilities that are suddenly thinking, hey, given that I have a contract with this building for let's say 12 years for like energy metering, now I can deploy, let's say, radiator thermostats because they have 10-12 years of battery life, and this makes sense. It means that my operational costs are lower. I don't have to send people to change batteries every month or every year or whatever. So really unlocked a lot of use cases thanks to the fact that the battery life is so huge. All of a sudden, partnerships. And when I say partnerships, it's like I feel like the whole LoRaWAN ecosystem is built on top of partnerships. Here we're technical people. We try to do our best for the environment, for the businesses that we serve. But at the end of the day, we gotta be good technical people. Everybody should offer high quality services. And all of a sudden, such big corporations thought, hey, we can launch it now because it makes sense on the Excel sheet, in the business plan, just makes sense. Also, another thing I wanted to add, Marius, is I don't know if this analogy is like 100% accurate, but you can imagine that different technologies, like let's say Bluetooth, are like how do you call this? The Morse code. So kind of sending messages with simple taps like beep 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 beep, long ones or short ones. Whereas LoRaWAN, it works with chirps. So it's basically not a single beep, but it's like increasing in frequency. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not a singer, but it's beep, or the other way around. So this is very key because basically that's why LoRa works over the noise level, over the background noise of different RF. And you're going to see how in, let's say, 10 years or more, actually your, let's say, remote control for the garage door, it's not going to stop working, but you're going to have to be closer because there's going to be too much LoRa, and the old radio technologies are slowly going to, because they cannot work above the noise level, they're going to start decreasing in performance. You also said something I really liked. LoRaWAN is evolving all the time. There are numerous additions that are done. I think the LoRa Alliance is doing a great job together with the main sponsors of the LoRa Alliance. Just figuring out the technical difficulties from life challenges, real projects, and iterating. It's I think that's key. That the fact that it's improving, but also the fact that it's open protocol. In the LoRaWAN world, there cannot be a viable supplier of hardware that has a closed protocol. They don't disclose what is the payload of their devices, what are they sending. They just ask you, you must go to a subscription using our cloud. This cannot really fly. And I love this because it unlocks possibilities for people to feel in control, to say, okay, now let's say I'm not happy with the application server I have. I can use another application server because this application, the new application server, it has access to the protocols of the devices I'm using, so I can migrate easily. Same goes for the network server, and yeah, I just love that. It's hard to change devices. Obviously, it's a little bit harder. You already have installed a lot, but just the open protocol adds a huge value to the possibility to do partnerships. But with that, those are my thoughts. Now I'm gonna go to my presentation. Not gonna spend too much time, walking through it, but just want to tell you who we are at MClimate, why do we exist, and what kind of devices we have, or solutions rather. So officially, the company started back in 2014. We started with smart home, Wi-Fi, and just a few products. Currently, our portfolio is bigger, but for those almost 10 years, we have grown a lot. Right now, we have more than 500,000 devices out there installed thanks to LoRaWAN, thanks to all the partners that have trusted us. And 500,000 devices, it's not easy to achieve this. You gotta really pay respect to quality, pay a lot of attention there, figure out, ways you can break things. If you want to, achieve this scale and scale further, because 500,000, it's almost nothing, I would say. I don't know the official figure, but I think Semtech said that there are a few 100 million of LoRaWAN devices out there, which is very, very inspiring to me. So back with the Wi-Fi technology, we were more focused on B2C, business to consumer, whereas switching to LoRaWAN, we switched to a full B2B strategy. We're covering a lot of markets. Actually, Europe, I would say, is like the main market for us. We're doing most sales here, thanks to partners like M2M, which I'm very happy, Marius, that we're partnering, because just having the customers in your hands with your consulting, I feel comfortable that the projects are going to be successful. That's maybe something important, because LoRaWAN, it's so modular, so open. Things can be done in 1,000 ways. And it's important when you have a person or a company there that can guarantee that one thing works with the other one. And yeah, thank you for partnering with us. Now, the reason why we exist, our mission is to decarbonize buildings. Why? Because buildings contribute to the CO2 emissions, with 36% of total emissions are coming from buildings. More than half of this are coming from the operations of buildings. So it's kind of twofold. One, it's operational CO2, and the other one, it's embodied carbon. So how do you build a building? When you're building the building, obviously you emit a lot of CO2. So being 36% of EU emission, it's like a clear contender for like the top spot of how you can improve something small, but it can actually have a very big impact on the climate change. So if we take a look at buildings, and where do they use the energy? More than half of it goes towards heating, cooling, and heating water. So we're trying to focus there as well as within a few other spaces that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But essentially focusing on buildings to solve, not to solve fully, but like to contribute to a solution to the climate crisis that we're in. I think it's one of the most important things. Our approach is to make retrofit devices, to make devices that are, it's easy to install inside the building. You're gaining access to fairly large energy consumer like the heating, and to make it scalable. Because with, let's say, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Z-Wave, it's not scalable for a B2B solution like you going to, let's say, a hotel or like a student accommodation and fitting a few thousand, let's say, TRVs. With Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc., it's not scalable because somebody got to change the batteries all the time. Whereas with LoRaWAN, And especially with Wiki, you can, just place it there. 10 years of battery life are easily achievable if you just make sure that the network is there. Now, the way we work is we either sell the hardware as a standalone. So we have, I would say, pretty good documentation. We're trying to improve it all the time, but we try to be as open as possible to share as much knowledge as possible to our partners. So you can just get the hardware and integrate it into another system. We've seen this lately, the past 2-3 years, where also building management system companies are starting to use LoRaWAN. Because if you're a system integrator, working on a building, the building is already built. If you have planned for, let's say, floor by floor control of the HVAC, you're stuck with it. And if you want to add additional, let's say, room by room control, you got to put new cables. Those cables cost money. Yeah, but the walls are already plastered. So how do you deal with this? And the BMS world is more and more accepting of LoRaWAN because the communication is fairly stable. First and second, there are no cables. The battery life is still good. So instead of putting cables everywhere, they can just put the LoRaWAN sensors, speed, temperature, humidity, pressure, CO2, AQI, or some actuators. Just the fact that you can skip the work with the cables helps a lot. But that's the hardware only. There we have, I call it built with MClimate, because we are looking for a lot of companies that are basing their solutions, locally on the market. They're trusting us with the hardware, and they're building their own software for their industry because they're experts in, let's say, co-working spaces. There are other companies that are experts in hotels. So we are kind of enablers in this regard. The second option that we do is like we sell our hardware with our software. The software, it's meant for, building control. Honestly speaking, we had to create the software so that it can serve as an example of how our products, we would like them to be viewed, in other systems. How to manage concepts like schedules, timers, heating profiles, etc. So it's not mandatory that you start with the enterprise. It's not mandatory that you use the enterprise. This is our SaaS. But it's a very good and quick and easy way to test the solution. Then you can test with it. You can move to your own solution or whatever. We don't mind. We actually support people that want to build their own solutions. We also offer white label. So both hardware, software. We're manufacturing for good partners as an OEM, and yeah, it's bigger quantities are required. But if you want to, just put your brand on it, we can offer it. It's very important, I think, that we manufacture everything locally inside the EU. So first, we are based in Bulgaria. We have the R&D team there. We have the sales team, back office team there in Sofia, the capital. And then we have a factory in the middle of Bulgaria, which is a big factory that is producing also for the automotive industry. So the standards there, they are very high for the quality. But we manufacture everything here in Europe. So all the data stays here. All the parts, some, of course, raw materials come from, different parts. Bulgaria is not such a big economy, but it's important to mention this. You have an EU partner that is respecting the EU regulations, paying the EU taxes, etc. And as I said, we've been trusted by quite a few people, quite a few companies, with over 500,000 devices out there. You can imagine that, we have some pretty nice names, for example, UNDP, that have used our devices and are continue using our devices in projects. But it's nice to hear that such big companies are actually, trusting another EU company. Here you have, let's say, banks, you have telecoms, you have utilities, you have insurance companies, you have SaaS companies, property management. It's a wide range, but here I'm gonna just make a small note. Currently, the EU is not launching, but like improving the European performance of buildings directive. So in order to battle the climate change, they're trying to put more stringent rules on the energy rating of buildings. So if right now you have a building, let's say it's a residential one or a hotel, it costs you a certain amount of money. Not cost you, but it's valued at a certain amount of money. In a few years, if you don't do anything, your energy rating is going to decrease and your value of the building is going to decrease as well. And we already have real estate companies that are installing our devices and are managing to increase the value of the building, not only with the value of the devices themselves, but because of the increase in the energy rating of the building. It turns out that when you put, let's say, 100K of worth of devices inside a building, you actually can appraise the building for, let's say, 1 million more. So it's important to mention this because it is tailwind for us and the whole market. The way we work, by the way, it's not us directly with the building. We are a manufacturer. We want to stay a manufacturer. We want to stay a product company so we can focus on the products and not deal with let's say installation support over the phone or whatever. Therefore, we have partners in different countries that are actually selling to buildings. And sometimes it's a building, sometimes it's a real estate company or whatever. But why they buy it? It's absolutely first and foremost energy savings. Second, increased energy rating of the building. And third, the ESG data that you can get from those devices. ESG is going to become more and more relevant. And at some point everybody's gonna have to report their carbon footprint, and this is what we try to do. We try to save to give you ways to save on the carbon footprint that you do. Oh, I forgot to have a slide about this. So yeah, we're pretty much in love with the ESG idea, and we have some big aspirations in terms of our own ESG and carbon footprint. But we're supporting 7, 11, and 12. And I'm not going to reveal any secrets, but as I said, we have some very big aspirations when it comes to those sustainable goals and our own ESG reporting. Just to give you an idea about the impact, here we have a few buildings, and you can see that for some buildings for 1 year, when you save 35% of the heating, let's say, which is the biggest expense for a building, at the end, you are like saving so much CO2 like a small forest. So here, let's say this public HQ, I cannot really tell you what is the type of the building. It's a huge building, but per year, they're saving 1,240 tons. So this equates to essentially, I think it's 14,000 trees. I tell you, it's a small forest which have been grown for 10 years. They would sequester the same amount of CO2 as we would save in a matter of 1 year. I'm going to skip this because we're a little bit further with the time, and I'm going to go to the products. We separate our solutions into 4 main categories. The first one is indoor climate optimization. Second one, the second one is air quality and CO2 monitoring. Then we have the water control and the MClimate Enterprise. I'm going to go through all of them and also give you an idea about a new product that we have. In the indoor climate optimization, it's mainly thermostats. So we have the Wiki. The Wiki is a radiator thermostat, super easy retrofit of a building. If you have radiators, you can connect them in a matter of a day. It's very well tested device. We have deployed many of those on the market, and it's just for a building. It's one of the easiest ways to save energy. It's also okay. I have some animations. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna click back. It's Wiki. It's also LoRaWAN certified, which is a topic I'm not gonna open, but if you want to be sure of your installations, I would advise you to go towards LoRaWAN certified devices. Just the fact that the LoRa Alliance makes sure that these devices communicating well, respecting the standards, it's important. Then we have the Fenco thermostat. I'm gonna click the escape and do it like this. The Fenco thermostat. Every time you see a hotel which has a thermostat on the wall where you can control the fan speed, it's most probably a Fenco behind it. So I actually call this Fenco thermostat the hotel thermostat, or like the office building thermostat. because fan coil units are usually hidden, but it's kind of like another radiator. It's like a radiator with a fan, like very often seen in hotels and office buildings. So if an office building doesn't have connected room by room control over their fan coil thermostats, in order to gain it, without LoRaWAN, they have to put cables everywhere. But with LoRaWAN, they just put the device, they wire it, 5 minutes of work, and then the next day, the whole hotel or office building has room by room control and monitoring, in the entire building. The wireless thermostat, it's also a nice device. It's like a generic thermostat. It's suitable for underfloor heating, for electric panel heaters. What is interesting about it is that it doesn't really need batteries. It has space for batteries, but doesn't need them. So you can just operate. It has a solar panel that harvests the indoor light, not the outdoor, but it's tuned for the indoor light. It also obviously gets the sunlight, but it's important that it works with the spectrum inside the room. Measures temperature, humidity, light, motion as well, and has a very nice e-ink display similar to the fan coil thermostat. So it looks very premium, I would say. In the second solution, we have the MClimate CO2 display. So the CO2 display, very similar to the wireless thermostat kind of looking, fewer buttons, still has the peer sensor, but it's a CO2 device, CO2 sensor. Over LoRaWAN, can operate without batteries, without any issue, but also has space for batteries. And the people can check the CO2. You can hide everything from the display in case you don't need it. You can hide everything. Or you can decide, let's say, I don't want to show the humidity, for example. Also has a peer sensor. Then we have something that we actually, I think for the first time on a webinar announced today. It's still not launched to the website, but it's a more budget-friendly version of the CO2 display, and we call it the CO2 display Lite. So it's the same device, it's just lacking the motion sensor. It doesn't have a motion sensor, and it has no option for batteries. And we were that confident after we sold a bunch of solar power, the wireless thermostat and the CO2 display, which were the first product that we had with solar panels. We got so confident that in many cases you don't need any backup batteries. You just need the solar panel, and I think it's amazing, because here we're talking about 10 years of battery life, but what about no changing of batteries? I honestly believe this is kind of where the future is going for all IoT, maybe also Bluetooth, etc. I'm sure at some point we're gonna ditch the batteries. And the third one we have here is like a typical CO2 sensor and notifier. So it has a buzzer, it has an LED light, or they call it a traffic light, no display, again, a budget-friendly version of a CO2 display with, again, if the connectivity is good, 10 years of battery life. By the way, when I tell you about the battery life on the website, we have a very good calculator regarding the battery life. So you can select, like, for example, what is the spreading factor, how often it communicates, how often it measures, etc. And you can get an estimation of what the battery life is going to be. I would say this estimation is fairly accurate. Here in the water control, we have one shutoff valve. We have this one we did together with utility. And they insisted on 12 years of battery life, so we sized up the battery a little bit bigger. This one, it's inside, whereas all the other products have their batteries interchangeable. This one is changeable again, but it's not a typical AA battery. But it's a very nice shutoff valve. It measures the temperature of the water. It measures the temperature in the space where it is. It's soon going to have a second model, which has a flow meter as well. You can put it on schedules. It has many applications. I would say the initial application why we developed it was for bed depth security. So if somebody is not paying their hot water bill, instead of the utility to have to send somebody to stop it, they just send a downlink. They send a message and the water stops. When they resume, pay their bills, another message and the water continues. But we have some cases, let's say in the Middle East, where in Africa as well, where people are actually working with vouchers. So they're paying, let's say, like the prepaid SIM cards. They are getting a prepaid, let's say, $30 of water, and whenever this voucher, finishes, the water is automatically stopped. If they purchase another voucher, it's resumed. And another nice use case is for flushing pipes for Legionella. That's important, and that's why it actually has a temperature sensor for the water. It's also nicely combined with the flood sensor, and we have some insurance companies as partners that are selling them together. So essentially saying, if you get those devices, I have a lesser risk of you flooding your home and me having to pay a lot of money to restore your home. So if you put this, I'm gonna give you a smaller payment, monthly payment for your insurance. I want to quickly say about the FCT. I do think that this is it's a fairly new device, on the market. I think it's going to have a huge impact. I think Vicky also has a huge impact because simply so many buildings have radiators. But I think the FCT is the other device that's gonna save tons and tons of CO2. It's important to mention that it's a Class C device. It's not Class A. So Class C devices can receive commands all the time. And Class A devices that operate on batteries, they can receive commands only when they communicate. Marius told you this. So this one, you have communication all the time. It's compatible with many types of fan call units because they also come in, different shapes and sizes and technologies. But I truly believe that if you're passionate about, smart buildings, if you're wondering how you can, connect the HVAC system and make it so that somebody can control it from the outside or like at least connect it to another system, I think the FCT is like a very, very good solution. It's a quick install by an electrician, but it's a quick install. It's a very sturdy device, premium looking. So usually the hotels, for example, if you sell them fan coil thermostats, they're gonna end up happier because it's a device that looks way better than the old thermostat on the wall. Yeah, so about the enterprise, I think we're a little bit ahead of, we're a little bit out of time maybe. Marius, maybe you can help me. But a few words about the enterprise. The enterprise is being used by, let's say, real estate companies, to manage a fleet of buildings. It's a very comprehensive system. It only allows our devices to be added. So if you have another device from another company, you cannot add it. At least for now, we want to first focus on, creating the best software for our devices for the building use case. And then maybe we're gonna allow addition of other devices. But for now, it's only ours. It supports schedules. It supports very comprehensive user management, digital twin of the building, floor maps where you can, upload a floor map. You can adjust where the devices are on the floor map. It also supports custom dashboards, so kind of drag and drop style. So you can kind of create your own solution the way you want it. And maybe last but not least, we see that our partners using those devices in all types of buildings. We try to stay away from individual homes, individual houses, because there the energy saving potential, it's, actually when you equip the whole building, it's easier to save energy. But we have hospitals, schools, care homes, a lot of social housing, a lot of hotels, residential buildings, student accommodations. It's like typically buildings that are operated by businesses really see the value of, let's say improving the air quality or like just connecting the heating system. And yeah, some pictures from case studies, a lot of devices installed in a lot of places. But over 2,500 buildings, we deliver roughly 30K devices a month. So we're improving the quality all the time, but I think this is a testament that so far we have some companies that are happy with the quality and are, growing in terms of just numbers and more clients. Yeah, let me finish with this one. I'm not going to say too much about the use cases. You can go to the website, view some use cases that we have. We are saving between 25 to 40% depending on the building. And yeah, if you're interested, we try to support, in terms of business support, in terms of technical support, just to be close with the partners. But then I'm super happy we have also companies like M2M in the middle that are, educating the market in their local language, can offer super good local support and also advisory, because I think for somebody that just starts with LoRaWAN, this is super important. But also don't hesitate to contact us, for technical questions, for business meetings that do not include purchasing devices. This we leave to the distributors that we have. But if you want to exchange ideas about how you want to approach a market, what you see as, relevant, feel free to get in touch with us. We love talking to customers. Yeah. It's I would say that pretty much is it. Marius, tell me if you
Thank you very much. I think you're good in time right now. We have a few minutes left, and I mean it's we don't want to stop you. It's always impressive to see how enthusiastic you are about the solutions, and yeah, I think everybody can see how much you're into the topic. And yeah, so for that, I think that was a really quick run through that kind of solutions. I can just suggest everybody, whenever you're more interested, if you want to know more, check out the online resources. Talk to us, talk to LudoMir, talk to us from M2M. And yeah, we have a couple of minutes left to have some questions. We do have some for quite a while already. Lubomir, I think that is a question for you. Up to about which number of device per building with one gateway is fine to stay compliant with the duty cycle? The gateway is handling downlinks to Wiki. Can you quickly say something about that?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the duty cycle, Wiki is respecting the duty cycle. The question is, the same duty cycle is also applied to the gateways. So the gateways can hear a lot of messages, but they cannot send so many messages. The way to deal with this, the easy way, is to deploy more gateways. Honestly speaking, there is not a downlink every minute to Wiki. There's a downlink whenever you need to change something. Like let's say you have a schedule, and then we send a downlink. The easy and compliant way to do it is to add more gateways to the building. I've had the unfortunate experience many years ago of deploying a building with confirmed uplinks, because the customer wanted to have confirmation of every message from Wiki, and it was a nightmare, because the gateways, they had to confirm every message, and it is a nightmare. But thankfully, by the way, the LoRaWAN network server started also showing graphs about the duty cycle, results of the gateway. So you can actually see if you're close to the duty cycle or not. Like, not officially speaking, I don't think anybody is really monitoring how much messages do you send on these public bands. But of course, as a company, we have to respect them. Just don't think that somebody's gonna, come and give you a penalty if you talk too much. But that's just my opinion. So I might be completely wrong. So Thomas, the easy question, the easy answer is like, you might need to add more gateways. But then a gateway can, if all your devices are working on SF7, then the gateway can send a message send a downlink and comply with the duty cycle every 5 seconds on every of the 8 channels. So you can essentially every 5 seconds you can send 8 confirmations. Obviously, this is very simple math. Like it's too simple. It's not really realistic. But in our installations, we see that. By the way, I recommend putting more than one gateway, not because of the duty cycle, but because of redundancy. If one gateway goes down, you don't want your entire building to go offline. So at least 2 gateways, I would say, per building. Gateways are not that expensive. And it doesn't matter for you. Gateways, as Marius told you, they're packet, they're transparent devices. They don't have too much logic inside of them. Most of the logic is handled by the network server, and nobody charges you more like operational cost for a gateway. The gateway costs you 2, 3, 400 euro. It's one-time capex, and then maybe for the backhaul, maybe for a SIM card, or maybe for actually the SIM card only. The other way is to put an Ethernet or fiber connection, which doesn't have any OpEx. But I would suggest put at least 2 gateways per building, just for redundancy purposes. It's way better to have kind of a safety other than have an issue.
I completely agree. Yeah. Thank you, Lou. There's a second question regarding the sheet with the energy saving calculations. How is the energy saving calculated / estimated?
So it was that's a very good question. Honestly speaking, in the beginning, it was hard for us, without the experience, to estimate it. So we're like basing on some scientific studies on how much energy can be saved through timers, through setback temperatures, etc. Now that we have so many devices, we get reports from customers. So we have reports ranging from, as I said, about 20, 25 up to 40, 45, sometimes even more. If the building for example, for Wiki, if you already have a thermostat, like a manual thermostat on the radiator, and you change it, it's up to a certain amount of savings. If you don't have a thermostat and you put the thermostat and Wiki, the savings can go 50, 60%. It's huge, and this is not calculated. This is actually, we have some partners, like one of the profiles of our partners is like energy efficiency companies, like the so-called ESCO companies, that usually make their profit out of the savings they generate for their customers. So those companies were very relevant back maybe 10 years ago or more, when there was a boom about the LED lights. So those companies they do the capex for you, they install the devices, and then they get the profit out of the savings that they have generated. And those companies are really, how to say, because it's around profit versus savings. There are frameworks, like for example IP MVP, which is looking at the average heating days, average outside temperature per day. So there are frameworks that our customers are using to calculate the savings, but you can almost always see above 30% savings in the cases for Wiki. And honestly speaking, I think with the Fenco thermostat, we're going to see even more. We don't have so many out there. It's easy to say it after the full heating season. But next year, maybe we're going to report more than 30% for the FCT. It's just out of the actual savings that we see, not calculation.
Okay, thank you. So far, no further questions. So if anybody would like to know something else, feel free. Otherwise, I can, again, just invite you to talk to others whenever you have any questions, or you want to discuss your application, your use case. We can always have a meeting, online meeting, whatever, and look into your specific use case.
Something I missed to mention, by the way, Marius, is the fact that we added firmware upgrade over the air. So now all of our products, we have the ability to update the firmware over the air. And I think this is it was key for our scaling, because, okay, sometimes there are bugs, we fix bugs, of course. Nobody's perfect, nobody can make a perfect device, but just the ability to iterate and to quickly deploy firmware, I must say it's amazing. And the photo with LoRaWAN works very interestingly. It's kind of slow if you want to respect the duty cycle of the gateway, but it's one of the examples how LoRa Alliance actually improved the LoRaWAN protocol. A few years ago, there was no firmware upgrade. You're actually stuck with the things that you have. But now they released a firmware photo technical recommendation, and they have a mechanism. So it's really putting more faith into our partners that even if we find something, or if we add a new feature, we're gonna be able to supply them with the last firmware, something that is not valid for all the other, not even LoRaWAN devices, but Z-Wave, Zigbee, etc. Not all of them support photo.
Definitely, yeah, that's an important fact. I think there's so much more we could talk about for that kind of applications for LoRaWAN in total. We just we just really ran through many points very fast. So yeah, we will definitely have more webinars to different topics covering LoRaWAN and also other technologies. And yeah, I can't see any more questions for now. So again, feel free to contact MClimate whenever you want to talk about your specific applications. And yeah, check out the other webinars that we have coming up this year. Thank you for now. Thank you so much, Lubomir, for being with us, also from just live from London, from your fair. So I hope we will have a successful fair. And yeah, if somebody of you is planning to attend Light and Building, you can actually find both of us, MClimate, Lubomir in person, and me and MTIM Germany on the fair. So feel free to stop by our booth. And that's it for today, I think. Thank you very much for listening.
Marius, thank you very much also for organizing. I hope we're going to have the chance for more webinars, and everybody attending, ask if you have any kind of questions, not like questions that are worth a webinar. If you have a topic that you're wondering how we at MClimate and Marius at M2M is, approaching, feel free to give us suggestions. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. And yeah, hope to see you soon somewhere on a fair in the next webinar.